course, we've already traded MLGO. I don't really like that anymore today unless... Why are my charts going so slow? My Weeble keeps on freezing. This is nuts. Okay. So I like MLGO possibly over the high. I don't like it below the high at this point. I played it the way that I liked it earlier this morning. I figured it would have broken up through 20 then, but it did not. So I want to watch it over the high again later. That's going to be over 1918. Over 1918, you've got range to that psychological 20. But I feel like you're going to find a good bit of sellers over 20, right over 20. On a bit of a trap. So I will see how it trades. I might scale a good bit out below 20 if we do take the break of that high. And then we've got range up to the 22 and all the different psych levels up overhead. So 22, 24, 26, and so on. That's how I want to watch that one today. Just 22, 24, 26. Just playing psych levels on LGO, the same one we played twice so far this morning. But back to WBY. This thing was super, super easy. Let me get my pin tool up here now that it's actually loaded. So played it this morning on the downtrend break. Once we saw that big buyer come in over the 250, which you can see right down here, the huge burst of volume that came in on the break of the 250. Once that buyer stepped in and we saw the buyer step up on the level 2, went ahead and took the entry, risking that low at 250 from a 260 entry with smaller size. Excuse me. A smaller size due to risk. And we had range here. If you take a look at the 30-minute, let me go ahead and zoom out a little bit more. You can see this gap. We'll just go back to the 15. On the 15-minute, you can see near-term resistance is sitting right around like 360. So what do you do then? Obviously, I'm not going to be that aggressive and say we're looking for 360. No, we just use psych levels. So in this case, we had, what, 3? Then we had 330. Then you had 360. Those are your psych levels here, right? So you have your 3, 3.6, or 3.3, and then 3.6. Those are your psych levels, okay? So super, super easy. Not really anything too complicated there on WBUI. And then, of course, just trimmed and raised stops as we neared those key levels. So of course, as we started moving in our direction over the high of day, took a quarter out, took a half out to de-risk the trade fully, and then caught the move up to $3 where we only had runners left. So it's really just a matter of watching price action and using those psych levels, especially in setups like this where you've got stupid range. Obviously, you're not going to target that range. You want to have conservative targets. You don't want to be looking for the moon. So looking for $3 on that, we got that move, and again, that entry was just really, really easy. So I saw the initial buyer come in. If you look at the 1 minute here, initial buyer came in here at 8:30. I didn't enter here, obviously. I didn't enter here. I didn't enter here. I waited for the buyers to show up again over this level because liquidity was super, super dry. I waited for buyers to show up again, which that's why the entry was 260 and not a 255 or something entry, because I waited for the buyer to come back in off the level first to confirm. Once we actually saw that buyer come back in, that's when I went ahead and took the entry for the move up through the high. But, I didn't like it off the initial pullback because there was no liquidity. I was like, all right, this could just be a fake out. It could just be trapping longs and then it's just going to go back lower. So I waited until we actually had some form of buying pressure over that level before we really took the entry, risking that low. But rather easy entry there. Same with the MLGO, rather easy entry there this morning. We had those 2 trades on it early on, and those were also pretty picture perfect. I mean, you look here at the 1 minute. Played it here. I would have liked to have played it at like 16.2 initially. Played it at 16.8 instead. I would have liked to have played it right here. But saw it a little bit later and played it off of the previous low out of this previous range back here, which you can see like here. And played it from here. Of course, we got the move to about, what, 17.10, 17.2. Then had my stop set entry and I was stopped out the rest. Then we played it again once it pulled back into previous demand. Down here, alpha 16. Got the move back to 17.3. Then I was out full. And like I said, I don't like this anymore for the morning until we get the break over the high, personally. I don't like it down here. So let's go ahead and go through our gappers. SVFD, I know we do have moving right now. I didn't play it because my eyes were on WBUY. Let me get the percents up for these trades here real quick. Give me 1 second. Okay. We had a 15% win on WBUY. We had a 16.8 to 17.2 for a 2.3% win on MLGO. Then we had MLGO again from 16 to 17 for a 6% win. So overall, you're looking at roughly a, what, 23% morning so far. So just pre-market alone has provided more opportunity than the entire days of really Tuesday and Wednesday, at least on my end. I haven't really liked Tuesday or Wednesday's action whatsoever. Yesterday, we would have had a fat win on SERA if it weren't for that stop loss raid at our entry, but it is what it is. But should be a good day today. I already posted up the news. Let me just make sure I posted it up. Market news. No, I have not. Let me go ahead and get the news posted. I've already got it typed up. Or I did have it typed up. Don't tell me I deleted it. I think I did. I'll hurry up and get it typed back up again because we need to go over it anyways. So SVFD, we do not have news that I see. No, I don't see news on my end. Read the chat real quick. You had to wait, hold on. You had to sell 100%, not sell 50% because when you do it glitched on pre. I mean, all you really got to do is go to your quantity settings, just put in half size, and just place an order that way. Keep an eye on SVFD over 4.5. You've got range here to about 550 and over 550 up to 6 and 660. Keeping an eye on it here. Watch for a pullback entry on SVFD around 460s, risking a 450. Pulling half size at 475. I'd like to get some added lower, so just taking half size, see if I can't get some added later. Here we go, 487, 490 testing. $495 new highs. Stops are at 472. Took half out under 5. Loosening stops back to 4.5 on this. 5 minute looks a bit heavy. So took half out under 5, have stops at 4.5. If you can't maybe get some ads back and buyers come in again off the 4.5s. we took half out under 5. That stops at 4.5. We'll see if it doesn't want to follow through up through the high. Did find a seller off of 5. Make sure you have scaled some up there at least. Getting bought back up the 4.6s. Buyer sitting at 4.67. Got range here on the daily to about 5.50. 4.76. Need to see these buyers hold here off that 4.6 area. Adding half back at 4.60. If it does break through 4.5, I will be out with a small loss since we did go ahead and take half out under $5. Out. We had half scaled under 5, had the rest out at 4.5, overall 4.74. Let's see, we had average cost of 4.67. 4.67 to the after it scales up the half off of 5, you're looking at 4.67 to 4.57. Okay, let me get my plans up here for MLGO. I need to get them posted on the watch list. Okay, so MLGO, we've got psych levels overhead. Let me go ahead and get that chart posted up. So right now this morning we've got 3 wins and 1 loss on SVFD. I do want to keep on watching SVFD too, just because we do have that range up to 550. I do want to watch that one out of the open. WBUY, do I want to watch that again? Maybe. Do have the range there to keep an eye on it. I'd either watch it off of VWAP. Excuse me, my throat is killing me this morning. Off of like a 260, 265. Or we got the room to up to 3.3. Yeah, so if you look at it off of VWAP, you could play it back up to that 330 we were initially looking for, the 330 and then 360. Let's do that. Let's watch for pullbacks on this off of VWAP again. Pretty much how we played it the first time, but I do want to watch it again. We've also got the break of 3 you can also keep an eye on. So either the break of 3 or you've got the pullback to VWAP. Either one I like quite a bit. All right, WBUY posted it up on the pre-market list as well. That's going to be a big watch for me today. Again, that's the one that we caught a 15% win on right before the live stream. Barnes & Noble. Do I want to look at Barnes & Noble? I looked at this earlier this morning because there was news. There was earnings. So do I want to look at Barnes & Noble float here? I know it's typically not a very liquid stock. Let's see. Volume yesterday was only 400,000 shares. Barnes & Noble is getting wrecked. Not something that I ever look at. That I really like this. So would watch it over 140, but not really a fan. So no thanks to Barnes & Noble. ASLE had news with Boeing. Float here is 23 mil, 224,000 shares of volume. Kind of light volume here in pre. There's the break of 3 now on WBUY. Big ol' watch going into open on WBUY. Big buyer at 297. And it's got the range here on really up to 3.3 and 3.6, like I mentioned earlier on that break of 3. Are sitting at 297 still on WBUI. Trying to get some filled at like a 307 with smaller size, re-entry. I don't know if I'll even get filled on it. I'm canceling my order there. If it gets bought back up off the 303 again, and I'll look for another entry. Currently no position. This is the one that I played for 15% earlier. Doesn't look like it really wants to make up a new high here, though. I've also been leaning more away from breakouts like this. I haven't really enjoyed trading them too much. They haven't really given me follow through like I'd prefer, so I haven't really been trading them. I've been trading stuff like we have this morning on like WBY, MLGO, those, more of a retracement type entry. I just haven't liked trading things like this. They haven't been going my way, so I'm not going to play it up here. I was going to try to get filled at like a 305, but the buyer dropped off. So I'll keep on watching it maybe later out of the open. But for right now, I don't even really like it off of VWAP anymore because we've already made that move higher. So I'm going to go ahead and take it off the pre-market watch list. Taking it off the pre-market watch list. But see, stuff like that is whenever I say to journal your trades, it's trades like that that I usually don't do too well on. Usually I don't get the move that I'm looking for, especially in this market. In a hotter market, sure, you might get some follow through chasing stuff like that. Not chasing, but playing stuff like that to the upside. But in a slower market like this, you try and play those setups, and it just seems to be overall lack of follow through. So that's why I've been, more so positioning myself, early on in the move rather than trying to play it like that, which is how we played it initially for the 15% move. JetBlue, wrong guidance. But another one that's just not very liquid here in pre-market. Not a whole lot of news on JetBlue. Or not news, volume on JetBlue. And it typically trades this way. It's typically not a very liquid stock. But you've got a nice look though. You've got range from like 5 up to 6. I might just watch it today over the high and just see what it does. Over like 520. 520, 550, and 6. Yeah, I'd watch it to go long over 520. Ranges to 550 and $6. Let me get this posted as well. All right, so we've got JetBlue to watch. What else do we have? We've got 14 minutes until open. Seems like, really in this market, that's kind of why I wanted to have more of the big picture focus. Being early to the moves like we were on MLGO this morning, not really early, but having that entry before the actual buyers come and step back in, more of an anticipatory entry, those have been working a lot better than playing the breakouts like we just had on SVFD or like we had on, or like we were about to have on WBUY on the reentry. So stuff like that, I haven't really preferred trading too much. That's one kind of an adaptation that I've been wanting to make since really what, Tuesday? Last week the breakouts worked well. We had a ton of chasers in the market with all the FOMO out there, and then this week you just don't really have it. So I'm gonna be leaning more towards the like those 5-minute pullback type entries, just to keep it a more of a simple explanation. Just those big old pullback entries, looking for the pullback off the high for the curl back up once buyers circle back to it, just like how we traded MLGO this morning. Okay. We don't really have as many gappers as I thought this morning. We just really have SVFD, MLGO. Everything else is kind of light. WBUI we've got. The light. I like ASLE. Did we look at ASLE? I know we had news on it. I know I was going to watch it over the high earlier, but I don't know if we had any range on it. We got like 18 on it, so I wouldn't want to play it over the high. I honestly wouldn't mind it off of like a 16.5. Just the volume is so light on it. Even yesterday, volume was 77,000 shares. I mean, come on. I don't think it's one that I'm going to play today. It's typically not a liquid name at all, so we're going to leave that one alone. We do have JetBlue to watch, though, and that is nearing 520 as well. So we've got JetBlue, we've got MLGO, we've got WBUI, we've got SVFT, WBUI. I don't think that I'm going to play anymore today. We got the one play on it earlier on in pre-market right before the stream. From 2.6 to 3. I don't really like it anymore. I don't really like it anymore. Yeah. JetBlue is breaking up over the 5.2s here. I'm mildly interested in SVFD off of VWAP. You're off the 420s. That I'm interested enough. Play it before open. Check our daily again. No, I don't like it here because you've got that 440 right over price. Like I mentioned, I'm going to be sticking to setups that I am 100% confident in, obviously, which we have been, but these larger picture ideas with the 5 and 15-minute time frames rather than looking at the 1 minute and the 15-second like we have been too. So like yesterday on MLGO and pre-market, we were looking at the 1 minute for a quick scalp back up towards the highs. And I just feel like stuff like that in this market where it's a little bit choppier, stuff isn't as clean. I don't like playing that way in this market. So I like to have these bigger picture ideas where you can leave some breathing room on both sides and look for those bigger moves. And I feel like it'll be a lot easier for you guys too to try and follow those moves because we're not looking for 2-second entries. So I think it'll be good. It'll be a good change of pace. And so far this morning, it's already paying off. JBLU making the move now over 5.2. Let's keep an eye on this going into open, y'all. Gonna be a big one to watch after open. If it can open around 530 and we can get a nice flush down to like a 525 entry, risking 5.2, we've got like 1% of risk and you've got range to about 550. I'd like that. That'd be nice. And at that point, you've got some pretty wild risk to reward. We'll see what it wants to give us. As we already said, it's typically not a very liquid stock, so I don't know if it will be today. We'll have to watch after open and see. Get a bit of a bounce on Chewy today. Chewy down 11% in pre-market after earn. Might be a watch. Got room back up to about 18 bucks. Yeah, I would watch for open actually. Chewy here. If it does find buyers, I'd watch it off of the. Obviously, you've got the 65 here on the daily. The what is that all-time low? Yeah, you've got all-time lows down here, like 16.5. Yeah, I'd actually watch this for a bounce today. See if it can't find some sort of capitulation bounce off of the all-time low. Got the room back up to dollars, 18 and 19. I don't know that you can get 19. Definitely probably have a chance to get back up to the 18. JetBlue, more volume here starting to pour in. We want to see that open around the 530 so we can look for an entry after open if buyers do start to find it. As long as it's liquid, I don't mind trading JetBlue, but it typically isn't one that I like to trade. Okay, Chewy is now being posted as well. Just want to watch and see if it can find buyers off that all-time low area. So like a 16.8, 16.7, just so we can find buyers somewhere after open. Play it for a quick bounce today. See what's up. A big old gap down right above the all-time low. Confirm on the daily here. Make sure. Yeah, so 16.53 is the all-time low. 16.53 all-time low. Yep. Okay. Definitely watch this one today. If it finds buyers out of open, we can play that. Right now, going into the open, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 trades, 3 wins, 1 loss. Overall combined, about 18%. I want to watch a lot of these names though. So we have SVFT plummeting through VWAP here. What else do we have? LGO I don't like down here. I wanted to watch that over the high. Got JetBlue. I mean, kind of limited, right? The names that we have are actually more limited than I would have thought. Hoping we get some new setups to start to show up for us like they did yesterday. But like I said yesterday, if we don't find one of those big picture setups that I'm looking for, I'm not going to be trading anything else today. So we're going to come on here. We're going to do things right. We're going to make sure this is easy for everybody. Because I know the scalpy trades are a little bit hard to keep up with for one. So, I said we're going to go back and focus on small caps more. We had been focusing on mid and large cap names for like the last month and a half or 2 months because small caps have been so slow and choppy. But, if we're going to go back to small caps a little bit and prioritize those, I think what we need to be doing is focusing on those big picture ideas. So it's at least easy for you guys to keep up with. Otherwise, small caps are so volatile and choppy that, it can be kind of hard to keep up with some little quick scalps. So that's why I want to stick to that. I'm going to go into my scanner settings and make them a little bit less picky. I just realized I've got my volume scanner looking for names with only 500,000 shares or more traded. So I want to knock that down to, honestly, like 100,000 shares traded. Just because If I have it set to 500,000, it's not going to show us the moves. So they've already happened. I knocked that down. Let me double check my other scanners as well. Also on 500,000. So I'm going to knock both of them down to 100,000. Okay. We've got those fixed. They should be a little bit less picky, so we should have more pop up on them. This is going to be a big watch for me today on the Chewy. Get that bounce up to the 200. Got range all the way back up, about 1786. If we can find some hefty buyers off the flush, I'll be able to grab a little 7-8% move. JetBlue is opening up at 530 like we needed. So all we have to do after open now is just see if big buyers want to step in and that liquidity wants to come in. Otherwise, I don't like it because if it trades like it usually does, like yesterday, for example, I'm not going to touch it. Typically doesn't really have enough liquidity to really trade it too well. So it's not really something that like I said, would typically play. But it is popping up here, already hitting 538. So it might even hit the target before we can even get a chance to play it. You know, with this low volume it's got here in pre-market, there's not really a way for us to touch it. That's the big no-no with a lot of these low liquidity names is they can easily pop up like this, make their moves in pre-market, then you get into the open and they're completely invalid because the move's already happened. It goes back to incentive. If the move's already happened, buyers have no incentive after the open. Might very well give us some more opportunity, but we'll have to keep an eye on it and see. Floppin, what are you trading? You said 1.5%. What'd you trade? .3 minutes, and we are watching Chewy right at open. Good, 0.5% on SPFT. That 0.5%, is that on your position or is that on your account? On the trade. 0.5%. When was your entry? Guessing you pretty much cut at break even, or you cut as soon as you entered the trade. I mean, well, you said your Wi-Fi. That makes sense. Okay. Wi-Fi was bad, so you had to cut it. Okay. If I can nail some Chewy here at the open, y'all. If these sellers want to come in heavy, if it starts to get bought back up off the flush, I like to play ball. Big seller right there before open at 925. Big seller 805 and at 925. So what I want to see is that big flush at the open so we can catch that bounce. Got a buyer sitting at 1697. That SVFT. So you're trying to sell half of your SVFT at 0.5%? Is that what you're trying?